Call to order the City of Darrell's public hearing and special called City Council meeting Tuesday, August 19th at 7 p.m. First item on the agenda is a roll call. We have all members present. We'll now have an invocation and pledge of allegiance led by Councilman Paul.
Dear Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for our opportunity to serve the citizens of Darrell. We also give you thanks for our staff and their commitment to our city. We ask that you lead us and guide us in the decisions we make, and may our decisions be a reflection of your will for our city. May your presence remain, and we work together for common purpose. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next item on the agenda is public comments. We do have two of them. Would you like to wait until the agenda item, or would you like to speak right now?
That's fine.
Okay, so with that, we're gonna move on to agenda item 3. All right, 3.1, we're gonna open a public hearing to receive and discuss a presentation relating to the 2025 water and wastewater impact fees, providing the 2025 water impact fee amount and the 2025 wastewater impact fee amount. Turn it over to Ms. Stubbs.
So over the course of the summer, we have conducted several meetings relating to the 2025 water and 2025 wastewater impact fees. We have reviewed the impact fee report that was conducted by HAP Engineering last year. It was not presented to the impact fee committee or to city council. We did work with KPA and Newgen to get that a little bit more updated with some new CIP projects in review to give you some more accurate numbers. It should be noted that the legislation this year did put a moratorium on adopting impact fees, so any impact fees that are adopted prior to September 1st, you do have a 3-year time limit before you cannot adopt any further impact fees. So the impact fees that we have in place now, if impact fees are not adopted this evening, you would not be able to adopt any more for at least 3 years. So I'm gonna turn this over to, no? I'm doing this?
No, I'm doing it, that's not exactly
Okay,
what it's
correct me
saying.
then, I'm sorry, yeah, I'm sorry.
What it would be is that starting September 1st, you can't do it, you can't update them before 3 years. So you can still do them, say December, but then you have 3 years from there, so that's where
Sorry,
the 3 years
yes,
comes in.
yes, I understand.
So, what it does is that it expands the process to, it's gonna be, I think after September 1st, it'll be about a year-long process to get them done. So not quite that long now.
Okay. Before this, would y'all like to make a public comment? Maybe then you can answer any questions or any concerns y'all may have.
Charles, you wanna go first or?
No, I don't care.
Or you can, I'll go at the end, it's up to y'all.
I'll wait, that's fine.
Do it? Okay.
You wanna book in it?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Council.
Sorry, Mark Allen.
Hi, Council. My name is Mark Allen. I appreciate the chance to talk with you all tonight. It's nice to see you. I've never met you before. And Mr. Sullivan, how are you? I'm a local land developer here, and I just found out about the pay increase or the price increase today, and we're at, I think it's $7,000 or.
2,000 and 3,400, 2,000 for water, 3,400 for wastewater.
Well, let's just say 7,000. We're good at math. I'm not good at math, you know. Just say 7,000, it's a little less than that. So to increase it to $21,000 is going to put the brakes, I mean, big time on the building around here. And what it will do is you'll have a reverse effect, meaning that it's going to seriously decrease the quality of the houses because they'll have to save money on materials. Instead of hardy plank siding, they'll go with just regular siding. And I think it's going to have the reverse effect. My proposal is an incremental raise. There's no doubt it needs to be higher. I don't think that we'll be able to compete at 21,000 for our average house price in Gerald's about 220,000, 240,000. There's no way that can be absorbed in that price of the house. You're talking about 10% of the house price right there. It's likened to, say, a tax increase. It's not a dollar for dollar get that y'all are gonna get for increasing it. You increase, you know, like they was talking about the minimum wage increase from $7 to $21. Oh, everybody's gonna get 20, no. It's gonna cost jobs, it's gonna cost housing, it's gonna cost your tax base, because you're not gonna get as many houses in there. It's not gonna get as many starts, and the starts you're gonna get are be in the muds, which we can't compete with anymore. And anyway, that's my piece. I think, you know, you gotta raise it, say 7,000, I would say do 8,500 right now. You know, incrementally, we in Calumet, I developed a subdivision in Calumet, and we had a builder in there, they sold 4 houses right off the bat on our first weekend. What did the builder do? He raised the prices by $40,000. We sat there dead in the water for a year because of that price increase, that huge price increase. They should have gone up $10,000. And then, you know, they sell a couple and they go up and let some momentum build, let builders get used to it. But that's what I had to say. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. And welcome to the new council members, and thank you for your time. Thank you all. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, can you wait till the end?
That's fine. I don't care.
All right, so at this point, we can close the public hearing and then 3.2, discuss,
No,
Or
so
would you like to
we're gonna do.
discuss it during the public hearing.
So if Mr. Ashby wants to speak, then it would be during 3.1,
Okay.
because that's your public hearing portion,
Okay, so we
so,
can go ahead and do the presentation.
yes, sir, and then Mr. Ashby can speak after the presentation's over.
Fine. Good. Come on up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. You're almost there. You really are almost there. I know there's been a lot of, this has been a drinking from a fire hose thing for you, because it's been a lot of information very fast on this. But, you know, why are we doing this? It's no surprise, but this is really the mechanism that allows you to specifically assign costs for growth to growth. I mean, that's what it is. It allows to support that infrastructure. It's dictated by Chapter 395, Texas Local Government Code, that determines and details how we do the process, how you apply the rates and the impact fees. It governs everything that we do through the whole process. What can you include on this, and what costs are recoverable? Pretty much anything that's associated with growth. So engineering cost, land acquisition, cost of the study, financing, all those components. If it has to do with growth, with new growth, it's usually allowable under the impact fees. What we can't do is really the reverse of that, anything that's not associated with growth, O&M costs, just maintaining your system, updating your system because it's wearing down, just replacing. If it doesn't have to do with growth, we can't include it in the impact fee calculation. So what are we doing? What have you done so far? You've already seen right now, a few weeks ago, land use assumption. You saw the capital program. Land use assumption was just looking at your service area, water and wastewater. What's the projected growth in there? How do we plan on doing it, or how's it projected to do it? Residential, commercial, what do you project to add there? And then that growth projection ties right into developing the capital program for the next 10 years. So this is a 10-year look, snapshot of this, and what's the growth expected there? What's the capital program to support that growth? Once we have the project cost, mention what's included there, things you can include, financing costs, then you have to issue debt, interest costs. That's really your cost of financing is your interest. And so you can include that for the 10-year period in the calculation and the project cost there. See revenue credits here. Chapter 395 requires you to look at a revenue credit. This is the credit for the portion of ad valorem tax and or utility service revenues that basically is going to be generated by new growth during the 10 years, and that revenue is used to pay for capital projects. So what this is doing, the revenue credit, is just trying to make sure there's not double counting. So a new customer coming in, they're not going to pay for infrastructure and their impact fees, and then pay for the same infrastructure in their water and sewer rates. That's what the revenue credit is trying to keep from doing. And then really the process here, what we're trying to do tonight and through this process is to provide you with a maximum allowable fee. So that's the ceiling on this. That maximum allowable fee, if it's adopted at that, that's to cover 100% of the construction cost of the infrastructure cost over the 10-year period. You can go anywhere from 0 up to that maximum. You just can't go above that maximum number. So the goal in this is to provide you with that number, let you know what you have to work with, what the ceiling is for this. You've already seen this. Now the CIP and the land use assumptions. On the water side, this was based, the LUA, the land use assumption plan was based on an average population growth for water of 14%, wastewater of 18.6. You already know your wastewater system, your service area is a bit bigger than what your water area is. So over the next 10 years, that's projecting 7,409 new water connections to LUEs. So the way this was developed is an LUE, living unit equivalent, is the same thing as a single family home, 3/4 inch, 5/8 meter. So you could have single family home, that'll be 1 LUE. Now, say a commercial development may be equivalent, maybe it needs a 2-inch, 2.5 inch meter, something, that may be 6 LUEs. So you have 7 LUEs in that process. So this is how it was done. What's the projected growth, what the expected growth is, what kind of LUEs is that going to create, and then what's the capital program to serve those LUEs. So 7,409 on water, 13,863 on wastewater, again, difference in sizes of your service area. That equated to 13 new water CIP projects and then 20 new wastewater projects. So what we got, just these again, are things that you saw in that first presentation, the LUA and the CIP presentation. This is the water CIP, projects down the left-hand side. Then the project amount, total cost of those projects that are needed over the 10-year period in that second column, that $166.4 million. Those are the projects that would be needed to build in the 10-year period, not the capacity that's needed in the 10-year period though. So if you look in that third column, that represents what part of that project you expect to use. Because we can't build a quarter project, we can't build a half project, you have to build the whole project, but you don't necessarily need the whole project to serve growth in the 10 years. So that comes out in the far right column. That's the project amount that you would need just projected in the 10-year period. So for water, it's $62.8 million for the next 10 years. And then wastewater, we've done the same thing. We've got the projects, the total project amount, the part that's needed and utilized in the 10 years, and then the impact fee eligible portion. And again, 13 projects on the water side, 20 on the wastewater side. So wastewater comes out to total project cost of $252.3. That's you. Then after applying the utilization rate, what will be needed in the 10-year period, that comes out to $149.2 million worth of wastewater projects for the 10-year period, the next 10 years. So what does that do to us? What does that mean from an impact fee standpoint? You recognize on line 1, the $62.8 million, the $149.2 million, water and wastewater. Then that financing cost, these are the interest expenses for the 10-year period. So we've added that, then line 3, so water comes out to be $75.5 million, wastewater comes out to be $170.7 million. We divided that, say for water, by that 7,409 new LUEs expected in the 10 years, gives a calculated fee for water of $10,190. We look at that revenue credit, where we're talking about the goal is no double counting. Well, these are all new projects. So there's nothing in your water rates, there's nothing in your property taxes to double count because the projects don't exist right now. So 0 credit on those. So water comes out to a maximum allowable impact fee of $10,190 compared to your current $2,000, so $8,190 increase on the water side. Wastewater We have the 170.7 million divided by that 13,863 new units, gives you an impact fee of 12,304. Same thing on the credit, projects don't exist yet, so it's not in any rates or property taxes. So that 12,304 is our maximum allowable number, that's our ceiling that you can work with. And then you're currently at 3,334, difference of 8,980. So really on that, just to break out and give you an idea of where things stand now. Right now, you're at 5,334. These are just some in the surrounding area. Some of these, for example, Georgetown, whatever that, we're going through the process right now. That number will be higher. Just like we mentioned on the water wastewater rates, this is great information. Not apples to apples. Have no way, other than that 22,504 number for the proposed for City of Gerald, we don't know where any of the rest of these are as far as, are they 100%? Are they 10% of what the recommended was? So we really don't know where they compare. But it gives you an idea of where you're at just in surrounding utilities. So that being said, really all we come away from this is, consider the maximum allowable numbers that were presented. Again, maximum allowable. These will 100% fund the infrastructure projects at that amount. Your goal here is figure out which number you're comfortable with or where you're comfortable. And then we would say, we're providing you with a 5/8 inch, 3/4 inch meter number. So what you would do, AWWA has capacity factor standards, and we talked about this actually when we talked about the water and sewer rates before. It's just a basis of meter comparisons, flows expected through a meter, say a 1 inch versus a 3/4 inch, and what the differential is. So that's how you would actually apply these. So if somebody comes in and needs something other than a 3/4 inch meter, you're just gonna apply that capacity standard to that to get the new number. And that's how, that's really how it would go in your books, how it would go in your ordinance, when you come to a rate. And that's what we've got, short and sweet. You've seen the meat of it in prior presentations, so it's just getting you to this spot here. Is there any questions on this?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So the words that are tripping me up are maximum allowable, meaning, listening to Mr. Allen speak, saying, well, you making us pay 20-some-odd thousand for those two services. That's maximum allowable. How do you determine there's gotta be, here's the ceiling, where's the middle ground? If we choose the ceiling, does that person get charged that?
Yes.
They do, yes, ma'am. So.
Then it shouldn't say maximum allowable, it should say that's gonna be your fee. If there's
Well, no,
nothing in between.
Oh, you can choose anything in between. This is the maximum allowable by law that you can
Oh,
charge.
gotcha, okay.
So that's what, based upon the way the chapter 395 is written and the way everything's done, the projection, this is the maximum number that you could possibly charge. You can't go above it. You can go below it all the way to 0 if you wanted to.
And that would come in when development agreements and stuff like that, if we wanted to reduce that rate
Correct,
for
yes, sir.
a certain
On a
development.
case-by-case
That's
basis.
on a
On a case-by-case basis.
That's right.
That's what I was getting at. So let's say we go with the maximum allowable, but you say on a case-by-case basis, we can,
It can be negotiated
it can be
with the developer
negotiated
down
up to that, or.
up to that or lower.
So tonight, the body has to adopt an amount that they want to have in place through the ordinance. And then if a developer comes in and says, hey, we would like to negotiate an impact fee amount with you, not quite up to that amount, then as part of their development agreement negotiations, they could say, we would like to pay $8,000 for each instead of $10,000 and $12,000 for that specific development.
And then maybe say, in exchange for that, we'll put these lines in, or we'll put this lift station in, and instead,
Put a park in, do
That's
something
it.
for this.
That's it.
Okay,
So it gives us
So,
various flexibility.
But
that's
he-
what I'm asking, yeah.
and that.
We're not gonna just bam, here's your 22,000, you got to pay.
No, and we're actually waiting for that number on the water wastewater side, because whatever you decide, the differential, we're gonna have to make up on the water wastewater rates. So we're kind of waiting to see where this ends up, so we know.
The number that you adopt tonight impacts the utility rates that will be adopted later this year. So If you go below the maximum allowable, then your existing users are gonna pay the difference.
So are there any consequences if we don't go up to the maximum on our rates? So what
Just-
would we expect to see over the next 10 years? I know the impact fees kind of have a correlation with our rate fees,
Right.
so our current
Just the differential.
residents
We'll
gonna
bear
be
the
passed
burden
down.
of the difference, yeah, because the
Passed
infrastructure
down.
costs you expect are the same in this study and in the rate study.
Mm.
Be the same infrastructure cost, so the money doesn't come from one, the money has to come from the other. That's really the impact on it. And, whatever we do now, in 3 years, so probably in 2 years, we'll start looking at the process again. To go, okay, what's really been happening? What have we really been spending on infrastructure costs? How's growth really been going? Was the right, we project the right areas and the right numbers. So, you'll have a better feel of that and what all this means then.
When was the last time, have we ever done a rate study like this? Do you know?
I think we did a rate study maybe 2018. I know that I found one, I don't know if it was ever presented or adopted, I don't know, but I know that there has been one conducted.
When was the last time the current fee?
We went up on wastewater 2 years ago, a little bit, and then nothing with water, I don't believe,
Or was it
Do you know if
long
you've ever
time
done
before
water?
that?
a long time.
Yes, sir. It was a while, like 2012 or something like that.
I think it was 10 plus years. And this process should be normally done every 2, 3.
It has to be done every 5 years at a maximum. So before
impact fees.
September 1st, you could redo it as often as you needed to. If you just can't keep up, the way they've been fighting right now with construction costs. Same thing with the construction costs. You're projecting numbers and then they're 20% higher next year. Well, that's why you see a lot of them doing these every year or so. But now we'll be doing at least, at a minimum every 3 years. But you have to do it every 5 years.
I guess, correct me if I'm wrong on this next comment, but if we went with the maximum, which in theory could slow growth down, that would also impact all these projects and the projection on what we need within the next 10 years also.
And that's true. If beyond the growth there, you don't build the projects. Yes, sir.
I'm assuming you've done this before for other cities. What did these other cities see when they, first of all, have you ever done a city that has to jump at, $16,000?
I have got one in, North Carolina where it went from a couple of thousand up to 38,000.
And what did it do to the city?
The kind of different situation they had. It was a city of about 4,000 people. There was a development being built that's about 38,000 people. So that really was the tail wagging the dog. But, not that it can compare here. I've been through 3 of these where they stopped the process and chose to have an economic development study. And it's just in these situations that happen, but 2 of those, nobody would do the study. One of them, somebody started the study and stopped it halfway through because they just couldn't figure out how to really tell what it would do, how to determine what the impact might be. So I've never seen one of these successfully go all the way through to figure out what the impact would really be on that. Not a cop out, but.
No, no,
That's honest answer.
Really not a clean one. I know we're doing the rates, wastewater rates, say, but we really do have an elasticity of usage, so if the rate goes up 10%, we expect usage to drop by 1 to 2%. It's not a correlation on the impact fee and the growth.
So, if we go up to this maximum allowable, and of course, you know, that's gonna put a strain, or could possibly put a strain on the developers, how does the developer make up the difference? I mean, is the developer gonna throw it back to the consumer, the purchaser of the home? I mean, how does it, I mean, someone's gotta pay for it.
Someone's gotta pay.
Yeah,
But they would use different material to try to upload the cost instead of party plank you were explaining.
So
Or
they'll either
increase-
pass through what cost they can in the
increase
price of the
home
house,
prices.
and then they'll try to streamline their cost to get it higher too, so, somewhere to make up that difference. So whether it can all be passed through, or they'll pass through what they feel like they can without hurting themselves. Not to speak real.
well, I mean,
It's
it's kind of a,
It's a zero-sum
it's
game.
kind of a catch-22, we definitely need to increase them so that I mean, they need to be increased, but not, I mean, I'm not saying that high, but it's, somebody's gonna pay, if we don't increase it, then it's gonna go back to the people in their water rates, the rates are gonna go up, I'm just trying to understand it, so I'm talking out loud. And then if we, you know, do raise it, then growth is gonna slow down because the builders and developers can't afford to build a good quality home, and regardless, the taxpayers are gonna suffer because it's gonna be passed to them.
Well,
Am I understanding that correctly?
pretty much, except you will slow down your construction then.
Yeah.
If the growth slows, you slow down the infrastructure construction on your end.
But you know, I'm just speaking out loud here, but slowing it down a little bit may not be a bad thing, because all we've been doing is chasing, trying to keep up with stuff, and some of the complaints we've heard from citizens was about the fast growth. Maybe slowing it down, letting the city catch up with the growth that we've experienced, and getting our stuff in place would be that bad a deal, but I still don't want to stagnate it either, so.
I mean, maybe you can answer this question, if we do pass the maximum rate, with any current development agreements that we have, is that something we could bring back later on and not charge them that maximum amount?
So the current development agreements that we have existing now would predate these. So they would not. So there are probably 4 or 5 in place that have, impact fees negotiated as part of their.
Already locked in.
Yes, sir, yeah.
Yeah.
So any ones that come in after that, and then keep in mind, so if you adopt this rate, this evening, it's only effective when they file for their final plat. So final plats that have already been filed, but they haven't started building on, those are already locked in as well. So once this rate is adopted and then a developer files their final plat, if they pull any building permits within that first year, we cannot collect this fee either. It has to be after a year after that final plat is filed. So say a new development comes in and they don't want to negotiate a development agreement, then they would be subject to the amount that you adopt this evening. If a new development comes in and they do want to negotiate as part of their development agreement, as the mayor said earlier, you know, if we want to have additional parkland donated, or if we want to do additional lift stations, pump stations, stuff like that, then that could be part of their negotiation, because that basically would cover that impact fee cost. They're covering the cost of that infrastructure that the city does not have to cover, that the city does not have to pay for. So they're basically paying for it all up front instead of paying for impact fees as they pull their building permits. Did that answer?
I think so.
Okay.
So it's going up regardless, that we're just determining who's gonna absorb these fees. Majority, is it gonna be the people constructing with millions of dollars, or is it gonna be our presidents and our voters? So, I mean, but like I said, we can negotiate based per, and those rates, when we negotiate with it, does that come to council, or is that just something the city manager?
Those development agreements do come in front of council. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so, I mean, we have a say in it then too, if it is a development that comes in that's like, hey, this is unfair, we can vote to like lower it, correct?
I guess my last question is, these fees that are on here for these other cities, those are based on, as far as you know, the current ones. We don't know if they're having a meeting tonight raising their fees either.
That's true. And we don't know when they did them, and they voted at 40% of what the maximum allowable is, so we just don't know how they compare. It's just where they're at right now.
No further questions?
I have a question. Now, you brought up the South Carolina thing. I don't really care about South Carolina. What about these places? Where do they go up usually? These places, whatever they say here. Georgetown. Is that how much they went up?
That's where they're currently at now. They may have been there for 3 or 4 years. Georgetown's the only one I know is gonna go up above where it's at right now. They're currently in the middle of a study.
If we don't choose the maximum allowance, I'm just trying to understand this,
Sure.
what harm is it going to do? To,
It's just gonna put the cost
Or
on
some-
existing users, the difference. So say you, just to keep it real simple, if you only adopted 10,000 for wastewater instead of the 12,314, that difference, that $2,314 would go back onto your existing residents, your existing wastewater.
oh, that's
users.
right, that's right.
So
I remember that.
if I live in Gerald on the other side, but if I was living in the city limits of Gerald, then that difference of cost would be put back on me, and you're gonna see it on your wastewater bill. You're gonna see that additional cost, not $2,000.
Right, divided by all the residents, you're gonna see a small increase on your, and then we're gonna raise water rates at some point, or the utility bills that we're probably targeting.
Yes.
Mhm. What?
I think it's already in line with the next study.
Yeah,
That would impact that.
right.
So,
And that is about the last piece we're waiting on that study, is to fill this part in.
So either we put it on the developer to figure out how to make a profit, or we put it on our residents to figure out how to pay their increased water bill, or should we do? That's where we're at.
Would you like to come up and do your public comment now?
I'd like to hear your public comment now.
I'm thinking for a second, so I
Okay.
can get up here and say something, because that last comment is not accurate. Okay, you're not really looking at the developers with millions of dollars making all this money. The truth of the matter is, what you're talking about right now, if you're talking about $22,000, let's round it down to 20,000. That's what you're going to raise it. The home place has 5 homes per acre, okay? You just raised the price of that land $100,000 an acre. If you do what you're talking about, $20,000 LUE, 5 LUEs, $100,000. So that means whoever develops, they come in, they buy their land, and they're having a hard time selling to builders right now. You've got 2 developers in here tonight that are having very tough time selling to builders at the cost now. You tack on 20,000 more onto every lot, they're gonna be sitting on lots, you're gonna be sitting on lots, you won't need this. Your 14% growth is going to cut to 5 to 7% quickly. The developments y'all have in place may go ahead and go, but other than that, you're gonna shut this place down for the 3-year period. And setting the cap at that, just so you can come in and renegotiate every time, because every developer I represent is going to come renegotiate. So you're talking about time and all this, and then they're using the maximum to set water and wastewater rates. And then every time y'all cut a deal with the developer here, then you're taking money out of the city's pockets. Because they're not charging it in wastewater or water rates, you're not getting it in impact fees. So it's a fine line you've got to walk here as to what you want to do. The other thing, from a realtor standpoint and longtime resident, Gerald has only been known for one thing, forever. We are the county's affordable housing. That's it. And it doesn't matter how you want to look at it, and you know, I hear the P&Z guys talk about it all the time. Oh, we want better this, we want better houses. What's going to draw them here? You know, bottom line, the jobs are all down there. We are closer to Bell County. We were always the redheaded stepchild of Williamson County until we got on the map. You could compare our impact stuff probably closer to Bell County than you should Williamson County. Because there's no comparison in us, Liberty Hill, Georgetown, Round Rock, those type places, and Pflugerville. It's just not. So, yes, I think y'all definitely need to go up, but I think you really need to find a number between $0 and $22,000 if you want to keep moving forward. And that's just my honest opinion. I know what will happen if I go back to developers tomorrow and tell them, okay, it's going to be 22,000. We're moving on. We're gonna go to Bell County, we're gonna go wherever, because you're not affordable. Like I say, you actually are raising, if you get 6 houses per acre, how many do y'all have on yours? How many? 6 to 7? 8?
Yeah.
Okay, you take that times $20,000, now you're 140 to 160 additional on that acre of land. You know, so that's the only way I can look at it, you know, because you are really increasing the value. You know, you can say developers have all this money. Developers take a hell of a lot of risk. They're the only ones taking risk. They buy raw dirt, they put in infrastructure, and then they have to sell it to builders. Then the builders get to turn around and sell it to you. You know, you're going to pay for it eventually. Because every builder, every developer is going to pass that cost on. They can't afford to eat it. You start talking about adding $100,000 an acre to, well, the Mishler place, 80 acres. You add $100,000 on the 80 acres, that's coming out of that's more than what the land is selling for. That's what I'm trying to get across here, is you've got to keep it in perspective. And I know I'm probably out of time, we're running out. So that's it. Thank you.
I'd kind of like to see a comparison to Bell County, and we were more like them. Is that something that that information can be taught on?
So that's what I was looking at right now. Belton is at $3,090 for water. For water as well, or wastewater? Water. Colleen is about 3,000 for or Harker Heights is about 3,000 for wastewater. And I was trying to look at Colleen's right now. I can't find any ones. Colleen, did they only have one as well? So those areas also have different water rights than we do in this area. They have a lot of surface water from Belton Lake, Stillhouse Lake. A lot of our water here is groundwater, which indicates, you know, that's a different water source. A little bit more infrastructure you have to put in wells, stuff like that. So I just want to keep that, you know. A lot of those areas up there are also by water treated from WCIP. They don't have their own plants, they don't have, their own treatment centers.
What's the difference between Pflugerville Area One and Pflugerville Area Two?
They're just zoned differently, and some of those, you'd be able to do it too. You could do a rate for your inside city versus really your extraterritorial jurisdiction areas. And it's just to separate, one may be where, okay, this is pretty much built out. Maybe the growth, goes up, or maybe something to tear down, an apartment complex or something like that, where this is open land just to grow, so you could do the same thing if you wanted to, so some people do that just to differentiate. And a lot of it is where's the infrastructure gonna be needed?
Is that something that could be done, is adopting two different rates for in-city and out-of-city?
Sure, yes, sir, but you don't have the engineering done on that. Which is okay, but you could go and get that done, you're going through the process now. It's just that if you don't get it done by September first, nothing that says you have to, then you immediately fall under the new laws. You're actually gonna have to start the process over, because you're gonna have to expand all the timelines for notices, is what the big difference is the notice.
So what we're trying to do right now, so if we adopt a rate tonight, when that law takes effect September first, we can still go up on our rates. We don't have to wait 3 years.
You do. You do.
If we do adopt it now, we still have to wait 3
If you
years.
adopt it now, it's 3 years from tonight.
That's when you have to. If you don't do it tonight and you wait till after September and you do it in November or December, then it's effective for 3 years from that period going forward.
Right, so either way, it's effective for three.
Yes.
3
From the
years,
time
whether we do
you
it
do it,
tonight
yes.
or
Right.
in November.
And if you don't do it tonight, you're probably 6 to 8 months from getting it done. If you don't make it by September first. That was the push for September first, because all the new timelines go into effect. They automatically add about 6 months to the process, just to make the notice periods, and they've expanded the notice periods.
And does that cause a problem, Yvonne, if we
It's just,
didn't adopt tonight and got more information and,
it just delays your adoption process. It delays when you're collecting fees that are more appropriate for the government that we've seen for the past 5 or 6 years.
I don't know we can afford to delay any longer. I think if we do see any suffering in the decisions made, and very much so time consuming, I understand that. But I think if we have the up to allowable amount, see what it looks like, and see how it impacts us, then we can definitely be spending the time on those improvements. I don't wanna, make it work, with the growth, we become stagnant, but also to allow us to get caught up in the growth. This is over a 10-year project, and this has been in the mix for a while. There's no other way to fund what we're doing, unless we put it on the consumer.
So, for your professional advice is to adopt the highest. Is to move forward with this, and that's all the work that you've done.
From a purely number standpoint, in order for the city to fund it, that would be my advice. Emotionally out of it is just numbers for me. That flip side, I understand
Yes.
what they're saying, it's just, that's not my role in this, this is what the numbers are showing.
Yeah, you won't need those numbers.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. You won't need near the big numbers that they're showing for a 10-year projection.
Pflugerville and Round
But-
Rock and Liberty Hill, they hide their house price, the house prices are a lot higher than here. It's easier to hide the impact fees in those than a $250,000 house. You just can't do it.
I guess the question I would ask, since Georgetown's our closest neighbor, with impact fees, what's an acre of land cost in developing the Georgetown area?
we are running fairly close on raw dirt right now. Raw dirt prices. Used to, 3 to 4 years ago, we were well over them. We were probably 30%. Now, we're pushing exactly what they are. Like I say, right now, we've got contracts under contract, $70,000-$80,000 an acre for raw dirt. Well, you start talking about adding $100,000 for impact fees, that makes people look at dirt a whole lot different, you know? Well, for that kind of money, we can go here and get it. Yeah.
There's also a lot of spots in Georgetown where they're on septic, so you're only eating one side of that, the water side.
But, I mean, it's a hard place for y'all. I don't envy y'all having to come up with this, but I just want you to understand, if you do pass the cap, you're going to slow things down. And that is, I'm no engineer, I'm nothing else. I'm telling you, it's gonna slow it down, and it's gonna slow it down hard.
That's
But-
what, I was just about to comment on that though, yeah, because I understand what you're saying, it's gonna, you know, we do, I mean, you're just understood moving us forward, but if we raise it and have no business, then we're not getting anything. If it's not, you know what I mean?
Right.
So as a realtor,
Mhm.
all I keep hearing is Gerald next thing. I hear it all the time when people are trying to sell
Yeah.
Gerald. And so, I mean, is it not, I mean, are
It
they
is
not-
right now.
Are people not gonna come and say, I wanna be a part of Gerald, the next big thing, and I'm willing to sit down and negotiate with them and work on, so you're saying that they're gonna say, no, I'm just gonna leave Gerald?
What would make, first off, what is the next big thing? It's the hot spot, right? That's where everybody's moving.
Everybody's moving.
That's what's happening now,
Yes.
okay? That's why we're the hot spot, is because we're affordable. If you took and added $100,000 to every house in this place, Gerald would not be the hot spot anymore. They'll jump to Granger, Bartlett, Salado, Florence, anywhere, because it's going to have that effect.
Councilmember, when you're talking about,
Because what's to bring them here?
when you're talking about Pflugerville, Round Rock, Georgetown, they have parks, they have hospitals.
They have jobs.
They have restaurants out there, you know, you can't compare Gerald to the.
We don't have jobs. You know, we're going to get, I mean, we've got school district, rock quarries. That is our jobs. Not big draws for the most part. You get Labatt in here, well, they're gonna bring some jobs. That's years down the road. But as far as if you just drop, like I say, $100,000 on every lot in Gerald and said, it now costs that much more, Gerald slows down considerably. Because there is nothing, I mean, y'all tell me if I'm wrong, I don't know anything that's dragging people up here other than affordable housing. And we're not near as affordable as we used to be, you know, remember Sonterra, you used to could buy a house at $105,000.
Yeah.
Try that nowadays. Not gonna happen. So that's my only thing, and I started to not come tonight because I knew I'd wind up doing this and I didn't want to. But if y'all did something that I thought was not proper and I didn't come up here, I would be pissed off at myself. So I wanted to come up and just say what I had to say. Y'all vote however you're gonna vote. You know, it's y'all's call. That's what y'all are up there for. I'm just here voicing my opinion.
We appreciate them.
And let the record
It's
say
still
that
on
he
the
meant
consumer
bad.
one way or the other. It's either gonna be on the
No,
consumer
he
purchasing the home in the development, or it's gonna be on the consumer,
Right.
through what we do. So it's on, I mean, it falls on the consumer either way.
Exactly.
Now, one advantage that we have over most of the other communities around us and that limits their growth is water. And that's what brings people to us. We've got the capacity. I do know that Liberty Hill is tapped out. I know that Georgetown, though they're sucking water out of Stillhouse, there's a finite there. So they're all limited and we're not, so.
I can tell
You
you,
are limited as well.
you know what, you guys know what Hunter's Glen looks like. It is nearly impossible for us to find builders right now. We have our phase 1 sold out, phase 2, I don't have builders yet because our lot prices, and if you add another, which it's not gonna affect me, we're in at the old rates. But I can tell you, for someone to develop the Mishler land across the street, it's 2.5 times more expensive than what we purchased when we purchased it. And then you're gonna, quadruple the price of impact fees. That land is never gonna sell, no one's ever gonna be able to develop it.
One question I would have then is slow down on the housing market, is there's no impact fees on what I do for a living, and we've seen a huge slowdown on consumers releasing money out of their pockets. So I don't know that we're being fair on comparison when we have a very big slowdown just in the economy in general.
Well, that's what I'm saying, it'll go from slow to stop.
But that's,
But would
that's even in
would
retail.
it not
trade.
reduce the property value? Like say, if acre of land goes down from 50, 60, 70,000 lower down to
Yes.
20.
Well, absolutely it would.
There's always a
If
big
we
lag.
make
on
up
that, though.
If
Yeah.
slow down, I mean, if the growth slows down, absolutely the price of land will come down.
And it's gonna decrease the property value of existing property too,
Yeah.
people's homes in Gerald.
Yeah. It's a vicious cycle, there's no doubt about it, but, it is what it is, and y'all have to do what y'all have to do. So. That's why y'all get the big bucks, baby.
Y'all need to raise them, but I would like you, I know you're on a strict timeline, but to reach out to other cities and say, what percentage, are you of the maximum? What did you see when you raised it to this? Are you raising it again? Like, those would be good numbers. And then if you are looking at, like Yvonne's thing, if you took it from 12,000 to 10,000, from him, what would that do to the rates to your citizens? Is it, how much is it gonna affect them? Because you don't have that number, or I don't know, you talked about rates at one point and they were gonna go up astronomically high. Is this totally offsetting that so that they're pretty much the same, or is it,
Rates will already be going up
yeah.
to cover infrastructure costs that the city needs,
But it-
not including this.
Yeah, but it'd be nice for them to have like an idea of what they do if they come anything under the 22,000, how much is it gonna impact the citizens? Cause yes, I'm all for sticking it to developers, even though I am one, but I don't want you to totally stagnate and not have anything, because people won't come here. I can tell you, we couldn't afford to come here if those were the impact rates, because we couldn't find builders.
So if we adopt that rate, if they would lower it, like you said, that just means we can't go above that for 3 years, correct? But we could always come down more. So if we do the 12,000, we can still give the builder the 10,000 rate, there's no flaw in the city, correct?
That's right. Yes, you could do that under 395.
So that's just,
You just can't do this whole process again for 3 years.
so literally, from what I'm hearing from him, is if we do the 12,000, but then you're like, hey, I can't afford this city.
They're not even gonna come to you. I mean, if I saw 12,000, I'm not gonna try to negotiate with the city over that. And you're gonna lose the negotiations, like for our lift station, we built the lift station for us and for the school and for the daycare. We built that. And that was part of your infrastructure. And you're gonna lose those negotiations. Canyon Ranch built their lift station.
You will find yourself with even more muds than you have now.
Yeah.
Because that's how a developer gets around these things.
And denser lots.
They'll just come in, create a PUD or a mud and move on.
But you definitely need to raise them. I think that
Yeah.
$22,000 number is just so scary in one step, especially when you compare it to other cities.
Then how do we come up with a number?
How would it,
Is
it, I cannot make a recommendation on it, it is at council's discretion to what they adopt this evening.
Is it feasible for us to see, the impact this will have in the rate study to the citizens, where you can do it maybe in $2,500 increments, so we see what the balance is. Would that be able to, I would really like to see that information before we make this decision. And I'm willing to have another meeting, but I would like to review that before I even decide on this right now.
So it sounds like we need to have a workshop, another workshop, so that we can have, because this is kind of an open forum discussion, this isn't really a public hearing, so if there's gonna be, conversation happening back and forth between audience and council, then it needs to be more of a workshop type setting, and it sounds like you guys wanna see more of what the potential impact of the impact fees would have on your utility rates.
If we did it like the $2,500, take where we're at now, and keep
And
going
add
up,
2,500,
and
and
add
add
to it
2,500,
until
and
we
add
get to where the maximum is, and let's see the reflection in the cost. Is that possible?
It is, yes, ma'am.
Maybe we could find a hybrid there?
We can model that. Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Can we do it in time to have a meeting before September?
Yes.
No.
No, why is that?
There's a 30-day public hearing notice
You had it.
for the,
You're done.
we're done with all of
You've
those.
got the maximum allowable number, it is what it is regardless.
So I
of
don't
what
have
you
to do another public
You don't have
notice.
to do another public notice for that. This was the public notice for,
So we're
for
gonna
this
continue this
purpose.
discussion.
Whatever
at
they
a
choose to
future-
do
Is that okay?
is outside.
As long as we do that.
Maximum.
Yes.
force.
So
That's
they're gonna
Yeah.
continue this, basically,
No, I agree.
this until the future. Okay.
If it's not adopted for September first, we revert to.
So
the
are we gonna
rules.
have a workshop and then a meeting?
We're in the same evening?
Cause we have P and Z next week as well, so keep that in mind. My planning is only on Tuesday.
Well, I think we need more information. Unfortunately, and now we're in a time crunch.
I don't want y'all to think we're just kind of kicking that can down the road, you know,
No.
but we're trying to be balanced here too, you know, I hear this side, I know it's
I want
about
it
to
be
happen to me,
affordable for
so.
the developers, but also want it to be affordable when they
Right.
move here.
Sure.
Yeah,
So that's
absolutely.
another cost they look at.
So will everybody be able to meet on Wednesday next week? What do you wanna do for your meeting then?
Monday, Wednesday, I don't care. Then let's knock it out, let's get it done.
I need to know what dates.
I have hair appointment Wednesday and I had to put it off from last time. But, Monday the 25th. Is that good with everybody?
Will your hair still look like that?
Yeah, because I want to get my roots fixed for the next day.
So we need to Monday.
Wait till Thursday.
Whatever costs.
Or Thursday, we need to
No.
go Wednesday.
That's so funny.
This is gonna be on YouTube.
So we'll have to have a workshop and then we'll write for meetings. Cause if they're gonna do public forum discussion, then it needs to happen in a workshop. And then we'll roll into.
Is-
Is Monday the 25th too for the turnaround to get any information that we may?
No.
I can request,
Or a different day there, time, for y'all's end.
I used to try, I don't want to crunch y'all on the back end. But it's like, okay, maybe a day to make a decision or something, you know, I'd rather you have all week next week. But you're gonna have to make a decision.
Well, that's that.
Yeah, anyway, so.
If y'all meet on Wednesday, you can meet before, they should be done by Saturday. It's Thursday,
Next Thursday?
the 28th.
Have a workshop. Have a
We
workshop.
have additional questions.
Right.
It's gonna take some time to answer them, so if we turn around on Monday, that meeting.
So what do
They're
you
very
say?
limited on the days. Thursday would be better, give them an extra 2 days.
Thursday.
Yeah, we have court from 5:30, but it should be done by 7, so. Can you do that?
That part. They're all different.
So P and Z on Tuesday lasts an hour and a half.
On the 26th.
7:30.
7:30, I'll have it just, do you have
7:30 Tuesday?
Because we have this,
Next
Okay,
week.
so maybe
plug it in, put it up on Excel and say, okay, this is the amount.
we'll figure out something that will dash for that. Okay.
Diane, can you have all that information emailed to us as soon as possible, as soon as they generate it?
So if we would have the workshop and meeting on Tuesday, the 26th at 7:30, how soon would you be able to get us the projections?
Okay, I think, that's what we were just talking about, it would be easier if we built the model to where we can go ahead and do it here and throw it on the wall and go, here's the difference here. Otherwise, we'd be there. If y'all remember when we talked about the rates, how many different scenarios that we deal with? Well, there's all these scenarios, plus then all the impact fee scenarios. It may be easier to throw it up on the wall. Okay, let's do this impact fee scenario. Here's the impact on the rates. However you choose to recover it, that type of thing, that may be more productive if that's okay with y'all.
That sounds like what we're looking for.
I think instead of printing out 5 different slides or something for a scenario or something for y'all, that is maybe easier to see.
Okay.
And so we'll build up a model so we can do that. It's just better information, I believe.
So when are we meeting, next Tuesday?
So we'll start the workshop at 7:30?
7:30.
Start workshop at 7:30, and then your meeting will start right after that.
Next Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
26.
Thank you.
I'll see y'all next Tuesday.
Yes, Taco Tuesday, right?
You're bringing tacos, right?
That's a good place to go. Thank y'all very much for indulging me, I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming out and expressing your concerns.
By the way, this woman right here is fantastic. You've got a great planner.
I like her.
Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think we're good?
Yeah.
Next Tuesday?
Can we just get a motion to table this until?
I'm gonna close the public hearing.
Yes.
And,
Thank you.
alright, so I'm gonna close this public hearing. And we're going to agenda item 3.2, discuss, consider, and take action on ordinance number 2025-0819-01, relating to 2025 water and wastewater impact fees, providing the 2025 water impact fee amount and the 2025 wastewater impact fee amount, and an effective date for both fees. I'll accept a motion to table
I'll make a
and.
motion to table.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. It was unanimous. Okay, and with that, we have no further business. City Council is now adjourned at